Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. After a long vacation, long holidays for the whole 1 month and more, so it is time for us to start from the beginning again and studying 2 books, Ibanatul Ahkam and Minhajul Talibin. But for tonight we would like to discuss only about Minhajul Talibin. So we will not study and will not read Ibanatul Ahkam for the time being, because I would like to refresh again your memory about Minhajul Talibin. First of all, Minhajul Talibin, as I explained briefly in the first meeting we study about this book, is written by Abu Sharaf An-Nawawi, or more popular by his name Imam Al-Imamun Nawawi in Arabic. Imam Nawawi is one of the most authoritative mujtahid among Shafi'is madhab, beside Imam Rafi'i. Therefore, the 2 imams, it's called Shaykhan in many Shafi'is literature. Imam Nawawi wrote his book called Minhajul Talibin wa Umdatul Muftin. Actually, this book is a brief form or digest form, mukhtasar, from Imam Rafi'i's book called, what is called Fathur Rahman. Mukhtasar from what kitab? Minhajul Talibin. Do you know? So Minhajul Talibin is a digest form or mukhtasar from Imam Rafi'i's kitab called, what is called? What the name of Imam Rafi'i's kitab? Afandi? What? So Minhajul Talibin is a mukhtasar, a digest, a brief form from Imam Rafi'i's kitab called Al-Muharrar. And Al-Muharrar is also a digested from Imam Ghazali's book called Al-Wajiz. And Al-Wajiz is a brief form from another of Imam Ghazali's book called Al-Wasit. And Al-Wasit, it is a brief form of another Al-Ghazali's book called Al-Basit. And Al-Basit is another digest form of Imamul Haramain books called Nihayatul Matlab. and Nihayatul Matlab is a digest form from Al-Buwaiti. Al-Buwaiti's book called not Mukhtasar but expanded form from Al-Buwaiti's book called Mukhtasar Al-Buwaiti. Al-Buwaiti is a close companion of Imam Shafi'i. So Mukhtasarul Buwaiti actually emanate or came from all Imam Shafi'i's books, from Al-Imla, and many other of Shafi'i's books. So therefore Minhajul Talibin is very strong, powerful book of Shafi'i's madhab or Shafi'i's school of thought. Actually, any pesantren who studied about Shafi'i's madhab, at least they should learn Minhajul Talibin, not Fathul Mu'in, not Fathul Qarib, because Fathul Mu'in and Fathul Qarib just very contemporary fiqh book, which is written just by some which is called Mutaqaddimin and Mutaakhirin. Fathul Qarib is written by Mutaakhirin, Al-Ulama'ul Mutaakhirin. So that's why it is important for us to study this book, because Minhajul Talibin is very authoritative books based upon Imam Shafi'i's the digest form of Imam Shafi'i's school of thought. And besides that, Minhajul Talibin is one of the most popular Islamic fiqh, which is based on Shafi'i's madhab. Besides that, it is the most commented, the most commentated books, yakni aktsaruh syuruhan. Minhajul Talibin lahu syarhahu al-ulama al-mutaakhirin alladhi yashra'uhu min Minhajul Talibin. So that's why it is necessary for us to learn this book, although now we study it using English language. It is also already translated into English by two Muslim scholars, one which is we read here now, and the others by American Muslim scholars, scholars which is actually a Christian scholars and then converted to Islam. So now let's start, and we continue our study from previous meeting before Ramadan. What pages we should study? 6. Okay, Ar-Rabi' musamma masun li bashar ra'si. Okay, before we continue our study, maybe I would like to refresh again about the discussion of the previous chapter 1, and chapter 2. All discuss our studies about taharah. Taharah means in English purity, which is a requirement for any of us who want to perform salah, to be in pure form, legally pure. Purity in fiqh terms has two meaning: pure from najis and pure from hadath. So we have to pure from both things, which is pure from hadath and pure from najasah. It is najis, a very special technical term in fiqh. So sometimes it is very difficult for us to translate into English. But that is the brief explanation about the previous two chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now, how to purify ourselves from hadath, and as far as hadath is concerned, hadath consists of two kinds. One, hadath, minor hadath, little hadath, and two, major hadath or hadath akbar. So wudu, the benefit of wudu is to purify us from the minor or little hadath. So now the requirement number 4. Please read Fandi. Number 4, things that causes hadath.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Number 4. The passing of the moistened hand. Moistened hand. Over the skin of the top of the head. Or if that be impossible, over the hair covering it. According to Al-Asah, a proper washing is of course also quite licit. And the hand,
Okay, licit mean just like sohah, yasihu. It is legal. Okay, continue.
and the head may also be moistened. May also be moistened.
Okay, let's see in the computer. Okay, moisten. Okay, next, continue.
Moisten.
Moisten. Repeat.
May also be moistened while keeping the hands closed if necessary. 5. The washing of the feet, including the ankles. 6. The observing of the prescribed order.
Yeah. Repeat. Order. Repeat again. Number 6.
6. The observing of the prescribed order.
Okay, so actually, if you don't know the translation, you can see the Arabic version. Tartib in English, observing the prescribed order. Yeah. Okay, and al-khamis, number 5, ghaslu rijlaihi ma'a ka'baihi, the washing of the feet including the ankles. So the translation pretty clear and straightforward. Okay, continue. Next.
If anyone instead of practicing a mere ablution.
Okay, stop here. So basically, this is the way how to perform ablution. So from number 1 in page number 5, Fardul Wudu. Okay, from the Fardul Wudu. Page number 2, right? So the requirement to make our wudu is legal and licit is we have to perform 6 things. 1 is intention, niyat, and secondly, number 4, ghuslul wajh, or washing of the face, and 3rd, ghuslu yadayhi ma'a mirfaqaihi, or the washing of the hand and arms up to the elbows. And 4th, number 4, arabiya, the passing of the moistened hand over the skin of the top of the hand. So in this number 4, Shafi'i's opinion is the most light one, or the lightest, because like in other madhab, like Hanafi school or Hanafi madhab, we have to make sure that the water should be in our all of our head. But in Shafi'i's madhab, it is not necessary to make the water touch all of the head, but it is enough to make it in the part of our head. And al-khamis, or number 5, the fifth, the washing of the feet, including the ankles. And lastly, as-sadis, the observing the prescribed order. So if you did all of the 6 performance, so you have purified yourself, so you can do salah after that. Okay, there is some cases in here. Imam Nawawi explained there is some cases which will be explained here. Now please read Fathur Rahman Qasari. And followed by others.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. If anyone instead of practicing a mere ablution, prefers to take a bath for the purpose of removing an impurity, according to Al-Aqsa, this is permitted, provided that the prescribed
provided means in Indonesia asalkan, okay, provided or given, asalkan atau dengan syarat. Okay, next.
Provided that the prescribed order is observed in plugging.
No. Okay. Find out. Okay. Repeat. Okay, read.
Is observed in plunging into the water. And one remains there some time. But not otherwise.
So, the observing the prescribed order, it is prescribed mean wajib. So, if you plunging it into the water and performing wudu inside the water, it is okay. But you still have to perform one by one, from niyyah, intention, and then washing the face, washing the hand, until washing the feet, including ankle. Because observing the prescribed order is necessary in here. Okay, next.
I said, according to Al-Asa, even a hurried bath is in all cases. Servition. Allah knows best.
Okay, so in this case, there are two opinions. If you plunging into the water and then doing a wudu, you should do it according to the prescribed order, from intention, washing face, and so on. But according some other opinion, it is okay without doing that. Next.
The following practices The following practices
Okay, now please read another one. Faisal, Farudin, and followed by others.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. The following practices have been introduced by the Sunnah. First, the use of teeth cleaners.
Okay, teeth here, just like that, all right? Teeth cleaners. Uday, what teeth means? Uday, teeth mean? Okay, cleaners. What? No, cleaners mean pembersih. Okay, next.
Or other hard substance capable of taking their place except fingers.
No, not fingers, but fingers.
Except fingers.
It is, there are some cases where gay in Indonesia, it is read gay, like forget. Then forget, target, email, you must log in, not login. Many Indonesian says login, login dulu, jangan lupa login dulu. Not login, log in, G. Okay, continue.
This is particularly to be recommended before prayer.
Particularly means especially, khususnya. Okay. Continue.
And when the taste in the mouth is changed.
Okay. I think it's enough. Now I would like to ask some of you to explain about what about wudu as a whole. Just the point, the most important point. Number 1, number 2, number 3. What kind of act, what kind of action necessary to perform wudu? Now, Fahmi Ulum, please tell us about 6 necessary action to perform wudu. Just briefly. 6 action necessary to perform or to do wudu. You can open your books, but only first, second, third, or number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Okay? Tell us.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. The following 6 things are necessary to constitute a valid ablution. Number 1, the intention to remove an impurity.
Okay. Number 2,
the washing of the face. Number 3, the washing of the hands and arms up to the elbows. Number 4, the passing of the moistened hand over the skin of the top of the head. Number 5, the wash.
So, number 4, please notice that number 4 is little bit different compared to the previous action. So number 4 is there is no need to pour water into the head. It is just you touch. So your wet hand touch your head. That is enough. It is called in Arabic masah, not ghusl. Ghusl mean you pour a water. You pour water to something. But masah mean you touch. Your wet hand touch something. Okay, number 5.
Number 5, the washing of the feet, including the ankles.
Okay, actually number 5 is the last performance in necessary to do or to perform a wudu or ablution. But number 6, it is just to make it clear that all necessary action from number 1 until number 5 has to be performed, has to be done according to the prescribed order. Okay, now number 6.
Number 6, the observing of the prescribed order.
Okay, it is the most important. So, for example, Fahmi and other students, when you go or meet some people who just understand only English, you can tell them that if you want to do salah or to perform salah, first you have to do a purity, a wudu, ablution, to enable you to make your salah valid, licit. Licit or valid means sah. That's the most important. Now, Denny, is Denny present? Okay. Please explain to us how to perform wudu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Tonight we learn about 6 steps to perform ablution. Number 1, the washing the face. And number 2,
No.
number 1, intention.
Okay. So intention is always necessary in every ritual we are doing or want to do, because and it is an ijma, according to in Arabic term ijma, according to 4 school of thought, according to 4 madhab. Intention is important to start or to begin any ritual, both in, for example, like ablution or bath, ghusl, prayer and fasting and so on. The differences between the ulama or Muslim scholars is the technicality, how to do it. In Shafi'i school, to do a intention is he should be in the same time when you do the first action, while from according to other madhabs or according to other school of thoughts like Hanafi, you can make intention long before you do a ritual. For example, half an hour before salah, you can make an intention there. Also, Madhab Hanbali and Madhab Maliki have a different time frame on how and when to make an intention. But intention is necessary because based upon a sunnah or a hadith who says innamal a'malu binniyat, where all of Muslim scholars said that innamal a'malu binniyat means that any ritual should be begun or should be started by an intention, and without which the ritual would be illicit or invalid. Okay, next.
Number 2, the washing of the face. Number 3, the washing of the arm up to the elbows. Number 4, the passing of the moistened hand over the skin of the top of the head.
Yeah, moisten hand means wet hand. Your hand is wet, and then the wet hand touch the head, part of the head. According to Shafi'i school, part of the head, not all head. But according to Hanafi school, all head should be touched. Next.
Number 5, the washing of the feet, including the ankles. And last, number 6, the observing of the prescribed order.
Okay, so if we have performed this ablution, what we can do after the ablution? Denny,
We can do prayer, salah,
okay, then you can do salat,
read the Quran with the mushaf,
you can read the Quran, okay, right? And then any other which requires wudu?
and tawaf,
Okay, we can do tawaf. Tawaf should be done when we are in full purity according to most of school. But there are some madhab which doesn't require you to have an ablution if you performing tawaf. But most of 4 madhahib, which mean 3 madhahibs, requires ablution or wudu to perform tawaf. Okay, now Zainullah present? Not present. Oh yeah, okay, next, 6. What? Oh, 6. Oh, I think 6, number 6. Okay, Fandi, explain to us briefly about why we should perform wudu or ablution. Why? About why? Why should we perform a wudu? Okay? Tell us. Because maybe some people who just converted to Islam and then he is asked, you have to perform wudu before salah, and then why he will ask us, he will question us why we should perform wudu. I just want to perform salat, not wudu. So what your answer about that?
Because in prayer needs ablution.
What? Yeah, okay. Continue. So why we should perform wudu? Maybe there is some answers.
Ablution is the one of things should be done before prayer.
Okay. And can we do prayer without wudu?
Cannot.
Why?
In prayer they are
Okay. So it is the rule in Islam that ablution or wudu is necessary and obligatory. Obligatory mean wajib for any Muslim who would like to perform salah to do wudu first. And why we should do a wudu? Because it is for example, an injunction from Al-Quran, perintah, a command from Al-Quran. In Al-Quran it said that those who want to perform salat should purify themselves by falsilu wujuhakum wa aydiyakum ilal marafiq wamsahu bi ru'usikum wa arjulakum ilal ka'bain. That's because it is an injunction or a command from Al-Quran, so it is necessary because Al-Quran is the source of ruling of anything related to Islam. When Al-Quran asks you to perform wudu, so you should perform wudu before salah. That is the answer. Okay, so this is the rule in Islam. To before we performing salat, we have to do wudu first to purify ourselves, because wudu is one requirement, one of two requirement to make our salat valid, okay, licit, and permitted. Also wudu, as Danny said, also required to make us enable us to read or recite Al-Quran, and also to make tawaf in Mecca, and for example, and to do anything which is required by Sharia to make our ritual is valid and legal according to Sharia. Okay, I think it's enough for now. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.